Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery regular meeting for August 25th, 2026. Let's call this meeting to order. It's exactly says 6:01, so we didn't get this thing going. Ms. Bevan, we have a quorum. Mr. Glazier will not be here this evening. And with that, if you please check your phones to make sure they are off so that we are not disturbed during this meeting, that would be fantastic. And if you rise, Mr. Donaldson would give the invocation and he'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for another opportunity, Father, to address the needs of the city of Montgomery. We thank you, Father, that you bless the works of the hands of the staff, the police, everyone involved, Father, with making this city operate on an efficient basis. Father, we speak over the family of Dolly Parton today, Father, in the name of Jesus. Give them comfort, Father, in their time of loss. And Father, we thank you for all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the United States flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The next item of business on your opening agenda is citizens' comment. I did receive one citizens' comment speaker request form. Ms. Miriam Walker, would you please come to the podium regarding item number 12 on the agenda?
Hi. My name is Miriam Walker, and I live down the street. And I've lived here for approximately 30 years. And I also sit on the P&Z Commission. And last meeting we had on our agenda the request for the required tree assessment for the crossing of Montgomery. And I was the only one on the commission that said no. Everyone else said yes. So it passed to come to you, the city council, to pass this. My concern is what they agreed to was that we just do a complete blanket, say, hey, we're not going to do any more tree assessments on the crossing. We're just going to move forward with 50 acres and we're going to develop it. And my concern is every other developer, you know, with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, they bring it before the P&Z and we look at it, discuss it. That's 50 acres, and I've driven by that piece of property quite often. It's a beautiful piece of property, and now they're going to put beautiful homes on there. My concern is that you have some trees, you have gravel, ditch, you have a railroad track, you have gravel, and then you have some tree shrubs, weeds, probably trash, and then you have the fence line of the previous owner, and then you have some more trees and grass and weeds and all that. So I was just talking to someone, and there is going to be a residential fence that is put up, that you build a home, they have a yard, they have a fence, and then there's should be a 25-foot setback for vegetation. And the dilemma that they're coming into right now is that with the variance of variation of the land, that they're finding that the water or runoff is going down in there, so they're possibly going to have to make a ditch there. Now, this is me speaking, and I just briefly heard about this. So my concern is we've got one subdivision, a street, that is going to have 500 people. That's a single car from the homes that they've built. Then there's a road that's highly traveled by school and now the people that live in that subdivision. And then you've got some trees, then you got the railroad track, and then you got trees, and then you've got now another subdivision. First of all, it's beautiful when you drive down there and you have the trees. So, and I'm a tree person, so I just want to make it I wanted my statement to be said more than just my minutes of the P&Z meeting, and also as a citizen of Montgomery. I think we have a lot of growth going on, and I think phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 should be considered instead of, hey, here's 50 acres, we're going to wipe the trees out. Now, I say that because that's how I feel about them knocking down trees. If you talk to the developer, you know, they're going to give it to you on a pretty piece of paper, and they're going to make it look all pretty, and I know this because I sit on the P&Z and we get told free things all the time. And I know that they make a good presentation, and I know that they keep their word with saying that it's going to be pretty, but I just want to be especially careful with now this little piece that they're fixing to have to clean up. So I just wanted to make that why I said no and everyone else said yes to bringing it to y'all for y'all to vote. Thank y'all.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next item on your agenda is presentation. Number 5, presentation and discussion regarding proposed Chapter 380 Economic Development Program guidelines and application process. Ms. Kimberly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I am presenting the city's proposed Chapter 380 Economic Development Incentive Guidelines. As we've discussed over the past several months, one of my goals as the Assistant Director of Economic Development has been to make sure that Montgomery has the tools it needs when it comes to competing with other cities and jurisdictions. The city's current Chapter 380 guidelines were adopted in 2007. They're about a page and a half long. Montgomery's economy, development landscape, and priorities have changed significantly since then. So it's important that we update those guidelines to provide a more modern, clear, and structured framework for evaluating economic development incentives. Chapter 380 agreements, which we'll talk about in the presentation, are one of the tools cities can use when negotiating with developers. At their core, these guidelines give the city a clear, consistent, and transparent framework for evaluating incentives. They do not promise incentives to everyone who wants to move into the city, and they do not take the decision-making power away from City Council. These are guidelines, not automatic incentives, and every project would still require careful review, negotiation, and formal approval by City Council. The question we should be asking when it comes to these incentives is, what does the city receive in return for offering a tax incentive, and how does the development benefit our residents and our community? That benefit may come through new investment, quality job creation, revitalization of an underutilized property, or other improvements. Tonight, I will walk you through the proposed guidelines, explain how the program would work as presented, and highlight the safeguards and performance requirements that are built into the process. And later on tonight's agenda, there is the new ordinance that have the new guidelines attached, and the application that supports that later in the agenda. So with that, we can go ahead and move on to the presentation. If you can move on to the next slide, Ruby, and then the next one. So again, this is the 380 Economic Development Guidelines that are designed to help facilitate economic growth in Montgomery by providing a framework for financial assistance and project development. This presentation will briefly cover the guidelines and make sure the council understands the new structure that I am proposing. I know you've all dealt with 380 agreements before, but just as a quick reminder, and for the public, a Chapter 380 agreement is simply an economic development tool that's authorized under Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code. It allows cities to provide financial and other incentives to developers that wish to locate or expand here. There's a lot of freedom when it comes to 380 agreements. There's a lot of leadway as to how the city can structure them. Types of incentives may include performance-based cash grants, reimbursement of eligible project costs. This is used a lot here at the city, along with sales tax rebates. You can also reimburse the maintenance and operations portion of property taxes if that's an incentive that's chosen to use under a Chapter 380 agreement. Next slide, please. And the next one. So just as another recap, the current ordinance is from 2007. The 380 guidelines are designed to foster economic growth, and this is really just to provide a more clear structure when it comes to the city and to protect the council, to be quite honest, when it comes to entering into these agreements. The goal is to attract investment, create jobs, and enhance the overall economic environment. Again, it's to protect the city's interests by providing a standard of incentive offerings while still allowing the city council flexibility. So as we go through a little bit more with some of the guidelines that I'm proposing, it still allows a lot of flexibility for the council. There's a lot of leadway as to what you can choose to do with your agreements. Again, this will create consistency, improve transparency, and of course, it'll help protect taxpayer funds. And next slide, please. So let's get into the key components of the guidelines. So eligibility criteria is clearly defined in the guidelines. Let me go over a few of those. So I left it, again, very open. The eligibility criteria is simply that the project must expand the local tax base. The funds must be spent for a public purpose. The project creates permanent full-time employment opportunities, and the project contributes to enhancing further economic development in the city of Montgomery. This is a good starting point. As we move forward, the city council can always say, we want a minimum investment of this much. We want this many jobs with this amount of salary. I've seen that before in guidelines, but as a starting point, I left it open. It supports various types of projects. There's multiple funding mechanisms available. So again, that's through sales tax reimbursements, property tax reimbursements. One distinct change is that it requires a Chapter 380 application and a non-refundable $1,000 application fee to be submitted for consideration. The reason behind this is it is a lot of information to gather to put together a Chapter 380 agreement. There's a lot of things that you need that you may not think of. All the platting, you really want to make sure they have their financials submitted to ensure that you're not signing a deal with someone who doesn't have the financial capacity to live up to their standards or their promises. So all of those things are written into the application, the requirements, to apply for a 380 agreement with the city.
And does that go into the MEDC fund, the general fund?
Yes, it'll go into the MEDC general fund, which is, of course, the branch of the city for economic development. It's non-refundable, so even if someone doesn't get a 380 agreement, we keep the money. And really it is, I have worked on projects for months before, and then we'll have the developer pull out and go to another city because they shop for incentives a lot of times, right? That's just the nature of it when it comes down to the numbers game. Again, it allows for flexibility for the council and the MEDC when considering incentive requests. I want to stress that the council has the ultimate authority to enter into Chapter 380 guidelines. So even if the MEDC chose, we're going to offer this amount of reimbursement. Of course, the city ultimately has the authority to sign off on that agreement. And it does implement term and percentage limits for agreements, and this is another big change that was not in the 2007 ordinance. The term that has been included in these guidelines is a term limit of 10 years, and 50% of the expected incremental sales tax revenue, so a cap of 50% of the expected incremental sales tax revenue or property tax revenue that's coming in from that specific project. So that splits the 50-50 for 10 years. The council can always go around that. You can do more, you can do less. The purpose of this is to, again, create more fairness when it comes to signing development agreements. So it's a clear share of 50-50, and you're not signing agreements that last 20 years. One other thing, I think it's on the next slide, is that, if you can move to the next slide, Ruby. And yes, I also wrote in a minimum productive life of 15 years for projects. Here's the reason for that. So if you sign a 10-year tax incentive agreement, and year 10, the company decides, we can't do this anymore, actually, it's not sustainable. The city is actually never fully realizing the full tax value of that project. So this lengthens at least trying to ensure 5 years longer than that agreement, 5 years longer than the agreement is what the city would at least receive for the full value of that property being on the rolls. There are job creation targets written in, but again, I did not put a specific number. I did not put a specific salary for now. I just left it very broad, as in we would expect quality job creation to be created from projects that are supported by the council. There's the typical environmental considerations that you have to consider when it comes to any project. That's written in, that it cannot have a substantial effect on neighboring properties. There's a portion that was written in that the developer may have to pay for impact studies if it comes to that. So environmental studies may be requested if we determine that we don't have sufficient information to support the incentive. Requests for tax incentives will not be considered if prior to the submission of an application, the project is already substantially underway or completed. A lot of times this is considered vertical growth, so if there's vertical development happening on the property. The reason behind this is, in economic terms, it's the but-for clause. It's you don't want to incentivize projects that are already happening because you are assuming that they would happen even without the incentive being offered. So it really has to be, if not for this help from the city, this project would not happen and we would not reap the economic benefit. And again, funds must be used for a public purpose, so they must benefit the public as a whole. Next slide, please. And then this is a pretty quick process here. If you can go to the next one. So there is an application, like I mentioned, that is attached to the 380 guidelines. That application would be filed with me. I would review it for completeness, review it for everything that we need. Of course, a lot of times when you're dealing with 380s, you're dealing with development agreements at the same time. So that's going to necessitate a lot of coordination between me and the engineers and Tilly. So once that application comes in through me, I review everything. Next slide. And the next slide. I'll just walk through this one. I'll just talk through this. So it comes to me, I review it, and then it's presented to the council. And we talk through, determine what does the council want to do? Does the council wish to do anything? What is the benefit to the community for offering this incentive? And then, of course, we have the implementation of the approved project and the incentive agreement with ongoing compliance monitoring. It is written into the guidelines, but it's required that we submit these agreements to the comptroller, that they're updated, that everything is current. And then there are other mechanisms, if we get there, to where we can track employment, wages, all of those things we can build into agreements when the time comes. So that is a brief overview of the Chapter 380 guidelines and the application process that I'm implementing. Again, the goal is to create transparency, to have a very solid framework when it comes to development, and to provide a way to objectively analyze projects that are seeking funding from the city. Question? Yes.
There's a project and midway through, the developer changes hands. Does that incentive go with that developer, or does it stay with the project and developer two gets to take advantage of it? How does that work?
You typically would have to transfer it to the new developer. That's what I've seen in the past. You would have to rewrite, amend the agreement, come back. So it's really tied to the developer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another question too. Let's say that they've done the application and submitted their $1,000 and stuff, and it comes to council and we vote it down. Is that a possibility that we vote it down even after they've done all their stuff?
Yes. Yes, the council ultimately has the authority to decide whether to support or not to support. And a lot of cities have these, I should caveat, 380 guidelines are not required by state statute. However, a lot of cities do have them because they provide a protection to the city. Cities our size have them, smaller cities, they have them in place, and they have application fees in place as well. And they range, your larger cities, like really large cities, they charge thousands of dollars for the applications, and the state charges for their applications as well. Some of theirs I think are like $10,000. for certain state programs. So you see the language for application fees written into a lot of programs, but you still have the authority to say no.
That's really to protect our resources too. We don't want our staff to be running around and doing a whole bunch of work and then it doesn't come through.
I guess I was thinking about if y'all accepted everything and y'all thought it was good for some.
Well, it's not really a matter of like, do I like it or not? It's a matter of have they submitted their application with all the required documentation, and then the council has to decide. So even if I personally am like, I don't think we should do this, the council ultimately has the decision-making power, so.
I was just wondering though, like I said, if they had made the submissions,
Yeah. It's happened before.
Yeah, there's things that we have not accepted. I'm sure it's still doing that. Yeah.
I'll handle it, don't worry, they'll call me. That'll be fun, so. Any other questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
thank you.
Next item on your agenda, it's the consent agenda. Item number 6, consideration and possible action on the city council workshop meeting minutes of August 10th, 2026. Number 7, consideration and possible action on the city council meeting minutes of August 11th, 2026. 8, consideration and possible action on the city council and planning and zoning commission special meeting minutes of August 18th, 2026. 9, consideration and possible action on resolution of the city council of the city of Montgomery, Texas, calling a public hearing to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 8th, 2026, regarding the special use permit for proposed pool-in parking lot adjacent to the model home in the Montgomery Bend Development by Pulte Homes of Texas. Council, we can take these cumulatively or individually. What is your pleasure? Motion by Mr. Olson to go cumulatively, seconded by Ms. Fox. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda cumulatively, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept the consent agenda as presented. Regular agenda, number 10. Consideration of possible action authorizing the city administrator to sign the consent to encroachment by and between the city of Montgomery and the developer Cruz Real Estate Venture LLC, development number 2505. Mr. Rosenthal.
Good evening. Starting on page 71 of your packets, you'll see a copy of the agreement. That includes an exhibit, which is where I'll take your attention to on page 75. So this is development immediately adjacent to Atkins Creek on 1097, where TxDOT has been staging all their equipment for the past year for that work. And so what they're proposing is they're proposing retaining walls and some paving within the existing easements on the front and back of the property. And so this is just your standard encroachment agreement that says that you'll allow the placement within the easement of the walls as well as a fence, but you're not responsible for the improvements. They're responsible for maintenance and taking care of it, and if you have to get in there to make any repairs, et cetera, it's not your responsibility to put it back. So attorneys reviewed it and prepared it. The developers reviewed it. They're ready. They're in agreement, and so it's for approval to y'all tonight.
Motion to accept agenda item number 10 is presented.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, we accept item number 10 as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Olson. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 10 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 10 as presented. Number 11 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action on a variance request regarding the required tree assessment for the Legacy Grove, Section 2 development, development number 2501.
All right. The next two items are the same request for different developments. So Ms. Walker was talking about the second item. So this one that we'll talk about now is for Legacy Grove, which is the Tri-Point development. And so this is for Section 2. So Section 2, there's a map in your packet, connects to 105 between Napa and Mid-South. And so it's that portion of the development. So they are requesting a variance not to do the assessment. as part of the preliminary plating process. They are still submitting tree plans and landscaping plans. They're not requesting a change from that. They're just requesting not to do the assessment portion for a couple of reasons. One, they did not do it, and we're not required to do it on section 1 because that started before the interim ordinance changed. Second part is when they did their masquerading of the site, that included a portion of section 1, so they've already cleared and graded a good portion of the site. And the remaining area that has the most trees, which is the small strip between Napa and Mid-South, if you've driven by, there's a massive trench going through it right now for city utilities, and there's a road that's going through, so there's not a lot left there. So it doesn't change their planning requirement. They're still proposing to provide the trees and the monumentation and the landscaping. They're just requesting not to do the actual study as part of the requirement for the preliminary plat. There's a letter from us regarding this, a letter from L Squared, the developer's engineer, and L Squared is also here to answer any questions that you may have specifically for him on the reasons, et cetera.
So it's 59 acres is what they're asking to not do the, or is 59
Correct.
acres
59
the
acres
whole
is
thing?
section 2.
Section 2.
Correct. And, like they're doing, and Jonathan mentioned this at the P&Z meeting, like they did on section 1, the intent is to still keep trees. This is a larger lot neighborhood. They try to keep trees along the back of the lots. That's still the intent with this development. They're just, the cost of the tree assessment.
Yeah, they're already doing that with section 1.
So,
They're already doing that with section 1.
correct.
Keeping a tree line in the back.
Correct, yeah, section 1 is the model homes going up. If you look on page 6, I can't read that small, 82 of your packets, 82 and 83, I believe it says, you'll see the preliminary plat for section 2 that shows, where is section 2? It's the southern portion. So it's the southern of 59 acres.
The 105 side.
Correct, the 105 side, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm catching what you're throwing down. All right. So what's the reason for not wanting to do a tree assessment? They haven't done any work over there yet.
Yeah. So, with so with section 1, we actually did a mass grading project that was done separately prior to section 1. The mass grading project was clearing and mass grading for section 1 and 2. So all the clearing for section 2 is actually already completed. So section 2 is cleared, graded. There's a few areas that we are going to have to clear out just for unanticipated infrastructure, drainage infrastructure that we need to install with phase 2. But other than that, basically all the trees are already gone.
So what we see there is what will remain.
For the most part, I would say there may be an extra acre or so that's to be cleared, but we have to provide a WGA assessment of how we meet the minimum standards, what we're going to be planting to make sure we're above and beyond the ordinance. As you all know, the current ordinance didn't have any minimum plantings, but we're basically saying, hey, instead of in lieu of the assessment, we will provide a landscape planting plan from the previous ordinance that was, most likely what we're going to be seeing soon, but we're going to be doing the same.
Asking to be grandfathered in, basically. So
We prefer the old one, so the new one is, tree assessment, but no planting requirements at all, or no tree assessment, but we'll provide the plantings, and so we're just trying to basically ask for the previous version.
So, yeah, I mean, it looks nice. I think that looks really nice. But I'm going by the little numbers that are on your plat here. Is that correct?
the smaller of the plats
The little
provided.
the numbers with the little circles around?
Hold on.
Is that your sections?
No,
Blocks.
so those are the blocks. So the section is everything that's shown on this
On the second
document.
page,
Correct. If you look on,
sheet 2?
yeah, what says sheet 2 and sheet 3, both of those, if you're looking on that overall sheet on page 81,
Sheet 2 and sheet 3 are both?
section 2, correct.
Yeah, everything on that plat is essentially section 2. It's the southern half of it.
Correct. Section 1 is cut off from this plat. It's on the northern.
We don't show the
That
connection.
explains it.
We would be here all night.
Yeah.
see?
Okay.
The larger lots.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Very good. Make a motion to accept item 11 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson that we accept item number 11 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Langley. All those in favor of accepting item number 11 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 11 as presented. Number 12 on your agenda, consideration of possible action on a variance request regarding the required tree assessment for the crossing in Montgomery, development number 2403.
So very similar to the last request, other than this is a new development. This is what Ms. Walker was mentioning before, the concern with just overall the development. So the request is to not do the tree survey over the entire property. They're still proposing to plant the 2 trees per lot, plus keep the common areas vegetated as much as they can. And again, Jonathan is here and can talk to kind of the specifics of what the plan is of the development regarding trees.
Yeah, so very similar reason for the request is that the tree assessment is basically a requirement to go get individual tree surveyed, not only tree survey, but the condition. We have to take a photo, all 4 directions of every single tree. This track is not as wooded as some of the other ones, and so there's not 10,000 photos that WGA would have to review. But the benefit and the reason behind the tree survey, there's not anything in the ordinance that says, with this data, tell me what you're removing and then replace equal to or something like that. So there's no replacement requirement. And so instead of us providing a tree survey that doesn't actually require us to replant what was cleared, we're simply asking to waive the requirement for the tree assessment so we can do the plantings for the previous ordinance, which would be plantings. I think it's a minimum of 20% of the gross or the net land area. So that's the land area minus easements, minus right-of-ways. We have 20% plantings. And then in addition, excuse me, you have to have 1 tree per yard, 1 in the front, 1 in the back. There's certain, I think, caliper inches that are required for those trees as well, so we would meet all that criteria. And I think within the development agreement itself, there's a minimum amount of parks that we have to be able to provide in the overall land plan, which is included in our mass grading and overall development plan as well. So trying to adhere as much as we can to previous ordinance and development agreement, but just not do the tree assessment that doesn't seem that there provides much of a value to the overall project in terms of what is ultimately required if we show you a trees over not.
I'm a little concerned about this particular one, only because as a resident who lives very close, Ms. Walker has kind of brought some
Yes, ma'am.
issues up. So I am a little concerned about this.
So I guess the question is based off of the 25-foot setback from the railroad and all that, why are we wanting to knock all the trees down?
So,
And I'm going to do it there either.
well, it's mainly the trees that are across the site. So there's a lot of topography across the site. I was explaining to Ms. Walker a little bit, and I did clarify in the development agreement is it's a 25-foot reserve, which is what we have. I just didn't want y'all to see a plat at some point in time and wonder it's 20 instead of 25. But there's some water that sheds off of the railroad track that would come onto the lots. And so that 20-foot buffer, we actually are proposing a drainage ditch so that water doesn't sheet flow through the lots. It actually is picked up on the back in a dedicated reserve that would be owned and maintained by the HOA. That swale can take it around the lots, not through the lots. And so,
But you wouldn't have to, 25 foot, I mean, obviously it's not huge, but you don't have to take all 25 foot.
there's some areas that's very minimal. either a high point, but as we start to grade it further out, when we have a high point, when we start to grade it further out, we're starting to eat up more of that area. It's not to say that we can't do some plantings in the area. You can plant ditches on the slopes that we propose in the ditch, and certainly on the areas where we've got some extra space, that we certainly can do that as well. But we are providing that 20-foot buffer, at least with
I'm just
that.
looking at if we want to sell those houses, they don't want to look at a railroad track out their backyard. So if you cut their trees down,
Fence line, so there'd be a gap between the fence line of the railroad track and the fence line of the residential.
So are they gonna clear the buffer zone out, or what is that? Is that your
Right now, the
plan?
way, because of the ditch that's needed and the amount of topography, we've already got a bunch of retaining walls across the site as well, just to be able to help step it down. These are small lots. I think they're 60s or maybe 55s. I can't recall. 60. 65.
65 foot lot.
Yeah, so, they are bigger lots, and so we're trying to help utilize that to our advantage to help with the topography, to be able to step down some homes, but we still have quite a bit of retaining walls across the site, just to be able to make the grading work that these developers, or the home builders are going to need.
It seemed like the tree assessment would be a
I would think that would be a benefit to you.
benefit.
So, really the only argument we have, we can do the tree the assessment, we can provide that as part of the preliminary plat, but it doesn't require us to plant anything under the current ordinance. And so we could potentially, or not we, but the development could potentially not propose any trees because there's no requirement currently. And so that's attempting to try to be the trade-off of using the older ordinance as the something that we would rely on.
Only talking about 27 acres at this moment, or we're talking about all of the.
And this question came up during P and Z as well.
High school.
The request is, the intent of the request is for the entirety of the development, for the request to not do the assessment over the entirety of the development.
Over the entire project. Okay. Well, we don't have the entire project in a package.
Yeah, what we included, this was on us, we just provided the current section plat, but
Which is Old Players
Right.
roadside.
Yes, and so I think the intent of the variance was to be project-wide, but the tree assessment is tied to the plat. So the preliminary plat can't be approved without the tree assessment. So technically, if we did the tree assessment, we would only provide the tree assessment. If you denied it tonight, we would do the tree assessment for only the platted boundary that we would propose at this time. The variance was for the overall project. So if y'all deny it, we would just do the tree assessment for that 27 acres for now.
I think if no trees, I think that, it doesn't matter what council says, I think nobody would buy the homes.
I mean, and I'm not saying that the developers or home builders, they may put in the trees as well. I don't know the development agreement entirely of what could be in there, could not be in there. I know that there was minimum parks, but I don't know if there was anything that was mentioning requirement for trees, but certainly there may be less in the park areas, but certainly I would believe the home builders would, most likely, I just don't know if they would be required.
How many tree assessments have we had in the past, Chris?
recently,
I've never seen one that I know of.
it's been a while. So in the history of the tree ordinance, it started out with the tree assessment. There was a lot of uproar about the tree assessment because it was an 80, I think you said the quote for one of them was $120,000.
This is for the Caroline Court.
For Caroline Court. The tree ordinance changed to take away the tree assessment. And then in the interim ordinance, the tree assessment came back and some of the plantings dropped off. And so you haven't seen them because they haven't been submitting.
We did.
Requesting variances.
We did one at the shops a long time ago.
Correct.
And that tree assessment was just provided tree survey. So that you did define just the species size, but you didn't have to do a tree with 4 photographs, which is, that's what it says now.
Yeah, so that was, the last one was 2017, 2018 timeframe then. Maybe later.
Thank you.
The current motion is to deny the.
Yes, there's a motion on the table to deny the variance for item number 12.
I guess my thing here is because our ordinances aren't, the ones that he's being able to reference aren't written very well to demand a certain amount of trees in our green buffer area. Variance would help. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, it was the interim problem that they didn't properly.
So the variant, whether we deny it or not, it really doesn't help us one way or the other. Make them do it, don't make them do it, they don't have to plant any trees. So they can knock them down with the variance, without the variance.
Still make a motion.
Yeah, at least during this time, it's been, so far, most of it have been asked to do the variance because that makes more sense. That makes it easier for them. That doesn't say one way or the other how you have to do it.
So the way the item on the agenda is written is requested. So we made the motion tonight. So we're all kind of locked up until something, unless it just goes with a second. So I've got to make a motion to pass it and vote.
Well, but you can't tell her how to vote. She's already put a motion on the table.
It's stuck. I'm
So,
in a second.
well, I don't know, is there a second? I mean, y'all are still discussing it. I didn't know that anybody's decided not to second it. All right, then that motion does die.
Make a motion to accept the variance of agenda item number 12 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson to accept the variance on item number 12 as presented.
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Olson. This motion is debatable and amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for further discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 12 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 12 as presented. Number 13, consideration and possible action on an ordinance of the City of Montgomery, Texas, establishing an economic development program pursuant to Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code, authorizing the city to provide economic development incentives through loans, reimbursements, infrastructure participation, tax rebates, and other authorized forms of assistance. Establishing eligibility requirements, application procedures, evaluation criteria, performance standards, and administrative processes, authorizing the execution of Chapter 380 Economic Development Agreements, repealing Ordinance Number 2007-13, adopted on January 23rd of 2007, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for publication, providing for an effective date.
All right, so how long is it published? Just one time in the newspaper?
This doesn't have to be published in the newspaper.
It's not the, it's, yeah, but it says providing for publication. So are we not doing it, or are we gonna do it?
It's the last line of that agenda.
So no publication is required.
No publications required.
No, it would be effective upon passage.
So do we need to amend that agenda item?
It'll be published on our website, but in terms of like any official publications that would go through the newspaper, you don't need any of those because this is not a requirement by the state. So it will be published on the city's website under the economic development page.
I know you put a lot of work into this, so thank you. I'm bringing a lot of expertise.
Agenda items shouldn't have said providing for publication. That helps. I'm good. Thank you.
Make a motion to accept item number 13.
Motion by Mr. Olson that we accept item number 13 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Fox. All those in favor of accepting item number 13 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 13 as presented. 14, consideration and possible action of the Chapter 380 Economic Development Incentives application.
And it goes along with what we just said. So I make a motion to form.
And.
Item 14.
Okay, motion by Mr. Olson, seconded by Ms. Fox, that we accept item 14 as
You don't
presented.
put the application in the ordinance, so you don't have to go back and repeal or change the ordinance. So if you just, this is just the form of the application itself.
Oh.
So you can go back and change the application separately from the incentive guidelines.
Gotcha. Motion.
All right. All those in favor of accepting item number 14 as presented?
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept item 14 as presented. 15 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action on a service agreement renewal with Rick Hanna CBO Partners, LLC, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We mentioned these during the budget hearings, that we hadn't had a fee increase since 2018. We've been with previous administrations, other than the chief, and coming forward, has made it difficult to get a raise, but they're experiencing huge cost increases since 2018. Steve and I are here to support this, but Cody and Siobhan had other things to do tonight, but we really hope council will accept our proposal.
What were the increases again? I know you went over once.
Yes, but we're basically increasing the fees for inspections. In the past, we've been charging the city $50 for an inspection that was out of a mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or irrigation permit. We're proposing to go to $75. And for building permits, we've been charging $100. Anything out of a building permit, structural framing, foundations, from $100 to $150. This kind of goes in line with what we charge other builders outside. So in the budget, we flooded Marianne with cost estimates and proposals and all that. So the idea is that the increase in permit fees will cover our increases.
And we raised all those, Marianne, our permit fees?
October 1st is the proposal.
We are working on fee increases in putting that in line with this. This is one of those things that the revenue is what pays for his expenses. So you saw that in the budget where we had the increase in the revenue and the increase on the expense side, but we should be bringing that to
It
you.
lines up.
Yes.
And when do your fees go into place?
October 1st.
Service agreement goes into effect October 1st.
Same.
So we keep our agreement in with the fiscal year.
How long have you been?
No, but that's our calendar year.
How many years?
Started with a young lady that was right out of high school as a city secretary about 22 years ago.
I do make a motion that we approve item 15 as written.
Motion by Ms. Fox that we accept item 15 as presented. Seconded by Mr. Donaldson. Are there any other questions? All those in favor of accepting item number 15 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We'll accept item 15 as presented.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
Number 16, consideration and possible action to authorize the creation of one police captain position within the Montgomery Police Department to be effective October 1st, 2026.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This captain positions, the responsibility is starting to widen. The function of that responsibility comes with the captain doing more administrative work. So what we want to do is we want to promote a captain somewhere from within and also bring someone else into that lieutenant slot. That lieutenant slot needs to be more focused on being out on the streets and available to officers. Matter of fact, we'll have to change those hours from those 12-hour shifts that all the sergeants are working now. But even with our sieges and T-close, everything is starting to have more time that the captain needs to concentrate on. Any grants and things that we're looking at. So it's becoming more of an administrative position, and so it's time to make that change. It's also time to make sure that we're still getting the same amount of coverage that we're getting, well, more coverage outside. Because what we'll do is we'll promote a lieutenant to a spot, and then we'll bring one of the guys that were in our last sergeant's group that came in, one of those positions, we'll move those to a sergeant spot. And of course, we've hired 2 new people.
So it's not really creating a new position. I mean, it's a new captain's
Yeah.
position, but it's not a new, it's not a headcount increase.
No, it's not a headcount increase, no.
So you're promoting within.
Yes.
I make a motion to accept item 16 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Ms. Langley, to accept item 16 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 16 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept item 16 as presented. 17 on your agenda. Consideration possible action to authorize the creation of 3 full-time public safety officer positions for the Montgomery Police Department to be effective October 1st, 2026.
Can we talk about these 2, 17 and 18 together? Because these are the proposals that we've been making for about the last 2 years. It's going to be 3 full-time PSOs, public safety officers, and we'll hire 1 records clerk. Those were all budgeted for this year, but we won't do any hiring until it'll be around July before we start to do anything. So from October to July, it'll be 9 months down the line before we. Yes, yeah, because we can only stand them on the shelf right now. So.
We put it in the budget that way, we put it way reduced for this year.
Make a motion to accept item 17 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson, seconded by Mr. Donaldson, that we accept item 17 as presented. All those in favor of accepting item 17 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept item 17 as presented. 18 on your agenda, consideration of possible action to authorize the creation of 1 full-time police record clerk position for the Montgomery Police Department to be effective October 1st, 2026.
Here again, council, is a position that we've been talking about creating for the last 2 years at this particular time. This is going to take tremendous load off of Ms. Good and the things that she does. It'll also give us better opportunity to keep better records. And once we've moved into a new place, we will put into a record system that will help us to do the things that we need to do. So this record clerk will be trained in some other areas, because this will be the person that you'll see up front when you first come into the new facility. So it's a much needed job.
As good as swimming in boxes.
More than swimming in boxes, yeah. And also, same thing, position-wise, it'll be around July before we attempt to start hiring for this.
Make a motion to approve item number 18 as presented.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Langley, second by Mr. Olson, accept item 18 as presented. All those in favor of accepting item number 18 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We accept 18 as presented. Number 19.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consideration of possible action on passing a vote for the nominee to represent the cities in the county on the Montgomery County Emergency Communications District, MCECD, Board of Managers. Not everyone at once.
How is that? I mean, do we just pick one of the 3 names? What is?
What are we doing? We authorize, is that emergency?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we use Lieutenant Belmore for that position. He does all of our emergency management things, he's been to all the training, he's done all those things that needed to be done. I had those certifications, I still have those certifications, but he's really active in that. And so if you guys are looking for a nominee, I think he'd be a good nominee for that.
I second that.
So I don't know if it's a nominee though. I think we just get to cast a
Casting a
vote.
vote for the nominee. So if you want to nominate him, that's what we would cast the vote for.
It doesn't matter. We're asking for a
The
nominee.
casting a vote.
For our vote.
It's asking for the vote of those 3.
There's 3 nominees.
Got it.
Look here on the
I saw that.
ballot.
Other.
Oh, we can put other.
Yeah.
Can we, let's do that?
Yeah.
Don't we have to vote for 2?
No, this one.
No,
Okay.
it's a 2-year term though.
So they didn't have, so we didn't have to have our nomination,
Are you gonna write in it? It's like-
do a write-in for the MCEDC?
Yes, the ballot is on here.
Yes, that's fine.
Yes,
So I make a motion that we cast our vote for the other write-in and our candidate we, Bill, yeah. I'm trying to remember his first name, I thought we did. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember his first name. We're Lieutenant Belmars, let's just do that.
There you go,
Lieutenant
there you go.
Belmars, no.
All right, there's a motion on the table by Mr. Olson to nominate Mr. Belmar, second by Ms. Fox. All those in favor of casting a vote for write-in nominee of Lieutenant Joe Belmars for the MCECD board, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will put in Lieutenant Joe Belmars in the other box for the MCECD Board of Managers. Number 20. Consideration and possible action on ballot voting for the election of places 1 through 4 of the TML Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees.
Maybe look what he said when they start.
Ruby, can you help us on this?
So there's 4 places, and there needs to be or if you choose to want to place a ballot vote on each one of the 4 places, you can choose the candidates. For place 1, we've got Kevin Clark, J.W. Buswell, and John Kennard, Kerry D. Neal Jr. For place 2, we have Adam Benefield, Emily Crawford, and Anthony Francis. Place 3, we have Corby Alexander, Jim Holgerson, Cecil A. Hudson Jr., Andy Joslin, John Perez, Garrett Spradling, Isaac Tallwell, Alun Thomas, and then for place 4, we have Austin Blease and James Top.
The one that's closest to us is Jersey Village.
He's actually a really good guy, though.
Yes.
Austin is,
I was gonna ask if anybody has any recommendations.
I do know some of these people, yes. Garrett Spradling out of Border, Texas, is also a very sharp guy.
So place 1 was who?
Kevin Clark, Buzz
Did
Fuller.
you have a recommendation?
I didn't know anything.
So can we,
Can you just leave that blank?
yeah,
But the names on the,
does she want to be on the regulation?
J.W. Buswell is the one that currently holds it.
currently holds it, right? So he's been on it. How long are these terms?
6 years.
1 year?
2 years?
Oh,
Wait, hold on.
It's 6 years. Yeah.
I thought that you were just obeying.
Reelected.
What they're doing. And this is TML.
It's the risk.
I don't know, when somebody tells me there's a new candidate to vote for.
So in place 2, you don't know any of those people?
I didn't know.
Garrett Spradling.
That's place 3.
That's
That's
place.
place, yeah.
Place 1 was Kevin Clark from Gladewater. The Fulham man that's already there. Kennard is there. McLennan Central Appraisal District. And Kerry Neal, City of
Seagaville.
Seagaville.
Yeah.
I actually know where that's at. It's near Mesquite, so not near any seagulls.
We just put that man in there that's been there. I make a motion to
Place
put him in.
2 is Emily Crawford as the incumbent.
Okay,
They
sounds
both have
good.
seats.
She's fine again. Is everybody okay with that?
Totally. The incumbent.
Okay.
Place 3 is Garrett Spradling, is that what you said?
Yes.
You do him?
And
Way up there.
And they're on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
Place 4, we have Austin Weiss as the incumbent.
He's a really good guy.
Okay, let's go with him then. Let's go. All right. We got those done. All right. We made the case. Oh, I made the motion to nominate all those.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Langley, second by Mr. Olson, that all of those people are nominated for places 1 through 4 for TML Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll put all of their names through. All right. Executive session, closed session, number 21. City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in A, Section 551071, consultation with attorney litigation. It is 7 p.m. on the dot, and we will head into executive session.
meeting. You have September 15th.
You're okay.
Oh, that's
God, it's cold. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. It is 7:27. We are back into open session. No action. Closing agenda, item number 23, council inquiry. I have a question. I received a call today from Napa that they've been trying to get a permit or do something with the city for a year, and we are not helping. Napa.
Was that the expansion permit?
Yeah, they have to build a big wall over there because they're building kind of over in the drainage, but I haven't heard from them lately, have you?
I haven't heard from them. I know they have that wall that they were proposing in the floodplain area, and I believe the engineers are.
They're talking to the county.
Huh?
Did they mention what permit? What kind of permit?
I had a call from the state rep a little back because they're friends, and he said, hey, what's the holdup there? Y'all are sitting on permits for a year. I'm like, we haven't even talked about them.
I don't know that they've applied for any permits, yeah.
Okay.
I just know
Development
that
agreement. Yeah, I mean, it's not development agreement, I said that wrong.
development
But
application.
application and all of that, and the engineers looked at all that and qualified that.
So
Maybe
they
give
just
it,
have to come back and apply for the permit.
There's some miscommunication somewhere.
I think so. I don't know what's holding them up. We just figured they,
Is there someone that I can call?
yes, I got the phone number. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask.
Officer's wife, yes. In Cottonwood, on Napa's. Yeah.
No, there's a different owner.
White.
Okay, I just wanted to know. I was like, we haven't talked about them. We haven't heard anything about them. Okay. Alrighty. Nothing else? Then we'll go to item 24, which is items to consider for placement on future agendas. We'll go to item 25.
On future agenda, we have a meeting on Monday, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Did you send me a Zoom link?
I have it established, I created it, I just need to get it to you now.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Olson to adjourn. Second by Ms. Langley. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
At 7:30, we will adjourn. Thank you so much.